top shelf. Salute to Patterson Poet Laureate, Toledo Michelle Queen. You know, different forums, you'd always, she would ask me, she would say like, you ever thought about putting like a study guide to like your work? I was like, you know what? It's a pretty good idea. So, thank you, Queen, I appreciate that. And I decided to do it in this form, top shelf, showing the different things that inspire my body to work. Hopefully it may even inspire you all. My first book, Defiance Desperation, came out November 19, 2021. And, it's an idea whose time has come because, it started, back when I was in undergrad or college, all the way up to its release in 2021. So, and one of those books was Dr. King's Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos of Community. One of the most prophetic books you ever want to read. Because he wrote about, not just America at his time, but what he foresaw and how it is so prophetic and relevant to where we are today. So another American treasure that inspired the book, James Baldwin, Defiance Desperation. Another prophetic book, another book that, also inspired, that inspired my body of work. And literally just, he saw like what could be and what could happen. Was also a book that was inspiring was Alternatives to Economic Globalization by John Kavanaugh and Jerry Mander. I got this from my social ecology class. So salute to Professor Chuck Stead on that because, it was in that class I picked up this book and I learned so much about economic democracy, global sustainability and rejuvenation, and about living democracy, and about protecting the commons, and protecting food, land, and water, and air, and also different ways of, being able to do economics, in a healthy, sustainable way. As well as Dr. Claude Anderson's Powernomics, was another book, that was also inspiring because I also study Africana studies, but also being a part of B-Man Brothers Making a Difference, we would actually have discussions, on different, on topics of community wealth building. I recommend the reading of Anand Giridharadas' book, Winners Take All. The elite charade of changing the world, which is a book that I was reading along the way that literally opened up, gave me more of an inside scoop and the ideas of the quote unquote elites who who don't want to be regulated and they want to use their money to help change the world and all these different conferences and everything and how really it's just a charade. As well as Neil deGrasse Tyson's astrophysics for people in a hurry. That, along with the Cosmos program that he had hosted, thoroughly inspiring. Because I remember the Cosmos, when seeing like reruns of when Carl Sagan did it. When I was a kid, and then when he picked it up again. So with his book and that program, it just continued to open up my, because as a student of the sciences, opened up just my understanding of the universe, how the universe is in us, and how we are in it, and we are also of it. John C. Bogle's little book of common sense investing, as far as when it comes to different ways you could potentially build wealth, which is in my canon, Defiance Desperation. So, yeah, these were some of the books that just inspired me along the way, and just the accumulation of knowledge from all these different authors, as well as just my coming to understanding to do different things. So definitely check all that out if you can, and hopefully it'll inspire you to create, and then you can put it on your top shelf.